Hello everyone, Namaste. In the previous video, we learned about what are emotions, the six basic types of emotions, and the nature of emotions. In this video, we are going to learn about how emotions are expressed. So this video is about understanding how we communicate our feelings or emotions using words, expressions, and the different cultural contexts in which we express our emotions. Since emotions are something that cannot be observed, the only way we can infer emotions that we are going through or others around us are going through is through communication, both verbal and non-verbal. So these two forms of communication act as the channels of emotional communication, wherein uh, they are tools for us to express our emotions as well as to understand the emotions that others are going through in our daily life. So verbal communication consists of spoken words along with paralanguage like the tone, pitch, and loudness to express our emotions. Non-verbal communication, as you know, includes body language, facial expressions, gestures, posture, eye gaze, and touch. So, verbal communication or verbal expression um, reveals a lot of emotions through vocal cues. Like, for example, laughter shows that a person is happy, whereas when a person screams, you all turn to see what happened, whether the person was scared of something or excited about something. And when a person groans, it could be because of pain or unhappiness or disappointment. And sharp, high pitched voices reflect anger. Nonverbal communication includes facial expressions, body movements, proximal behavior, eye gaze, and touch. So, Charles Darwin's research said that basic emotions like joy, fear, anger, disgust, sadness, and surprise are all innate. They are inherited in all of us, regardless of which culture we are in, where we are born, which country, etc. There are some cultural influences on emotional expression, though, um, like Charles Darwin said, that there are some basic emotions that all of us have in common. There are some differences, like the gaze behavior differences in Latin Americans, Southern Europeans, whereas Asians, and expression variations in many cultures, wherein some cultures encourage emotions to be expressed freely, whereas others prefer you to show some restraint and to be subtle in your emotional expressions. Gestures, a thumbs up means good in the United States. It could be offensive in some Latin American cultures. So, Paul Ekman said that verbal and non-verbal communication are interrelated. How? Because communication becomes more effective when we use both together. For example, when a joke is said, if it is coupled with some gestures and facial expressions, it becomes more effective. So, nonverbal functions of Communication is emphasizing or repeating verbal messages, substitute for words entirely, and they regulate the flow of speech. They contradict spoken words and they complement verbal communication. So even when you try not to speak when you're angry or depressed, paralanguage and non-verbal cues will reveal your true feelings. Therefore, sometimes it's difficult to hide very strong emotions. Next is cultural labeling of emotions. When a research was conducted, psychologists saw that the Tahitians had 46 labels for the English word anger, whereas the North Americans had 81 labels for content, and Japanese had multiple labels for happiness. So, similarly, ancient Chinese had seven emotions, had identified seven basic emotions. Ancient Indians had identified eight basic emotions, whereas Western traditions had identified five major basic emotions. So these basic emotions are common across different cultures. Others are culture specific. They differ in their labeling, like how we saw just now. With this, we come to the end of expression of emotions. And I will see you again in the last video for CBSE 11th standard. Until then, thank you so much and bye bye.